It was a chilly winter morning in Mumbai. The sun had just begun to rise, and the streets were slowly waking up to the sound of honking rickshaws, street vendors setting up their stalls, and the aroma of chai drifting through the air. In the heart of the city, in one of the most luxurious high-rises, lived a man named Rajveer Mehta, billionaire known for his business empire, but even more for his mystery. He rarely gave interviews, avoided the social scene, and kept his personal life private. Rajveer was not born into wealth. He had built everything from the ground up, from selling used electronics on the streets to owning one of India's largest tech companies. He was sharp, driven, and emotionally guarded. Very few people were close to him, and trust did not come easily to him. But there was one person who had been a quiet presence in his home for nearly 3 years, his maid, Sunita. Sunita was in her early 40s, a single mother of 2 daughters, living in a small rented room in a slum nearby. She came early every morning, did all the cleaning, helped prepare breakfast, and left silently. She never asked for anything. Her uniform was always neatly pressed, her hair tied back in a tight bun, and her eyes, though tired, held quiet strength. She was respectful, punctual, and hard-working, traits Rajveer admired, though he never said much to her. To him, she was just another staff member. But to Sunita, this job was everything. The salary she received was enough to pay rent, send her daughters to school, and buy enough rice and vegetables for the week. She didn't expect kindness or conversation from Rajveer, just the job and the steady income. Then one day, everything changed. It was late December. Rajveer had just landed from Singapore after a business trip and was heading home in his usual black Mercedes. His driver, Ravi, took the longer route due to traffic. As they passed a narrow lane near the station, Rajveer, sitting quietly in the back seat, glanced outside the window and froze. There, on the cold pavement under an old tree, covered with a thin blanket and a plastic sheet, was someone familiar. He asked Ravi to slow down. "Wait," he said, squinting. Lying on the ground, curled up and shivering, was Sunita. Rajveer's expression changed. He wasn't the kind to show emotions, but for a moment, something stirred inside him. "Stop the car," he said suddenly. Ravi pulled over, confused. Rajveer stepped out, walked towards her, and stood silently, staring. She didn't see him. Her hands were tucked under her face, her feet bare, and a torn bag lay beside her. "Sunita," he said. She jolted awake. Her eyes widened as she saw him standing there in his tailored suit, under the soft glow of the streetlight. "Sir, I'm sorry," she stammered, struggling to sit up. "What are you doing here?" he asked, his voice firm but not cruel. She looked away in shame. "I didn't mean for you to see me like this." "Where's your home?" She hesitated, then softly replied, "Gone. We were evicted 2 days ago. The landlord said someone else was paying more for the room." "Where are your daughters?" "With my sister and Ravi. But she can't keep us long. She's got 5 children of her own. Why didn't you say anything?" She shook her head. "I didn't want to lose the job. I didn't want pity." Rajveer stood there for a moment, stunned by her quiet pride. Then he did something that surprised not just Sunita, but eventually the entire city. He extended his hand. "Come with me." She looked at him, unsure. "Sir, I can't. I'm dirty. I haven't bathed. I said come." Too shocked to argue, she stood up, clutching her bag. He opened the car door and gestured for her to sit inside. Back at the high-rise, the guards were surprised to see the boss arrive with a maid in the back seat, but no one dared to ask questions. Rajveer instructed his house manager to prepare the guest room immediately. Fresh clothes, hot food, clean towels. Sunita was given a place to sleep that night, a soft bed with warm blankets and a room bigger than her entire previous home. The next morning, Rajveer called her into his study. She entered nervously, unsure of what he was thinking. He motioned for her to sit. "I want you to tell me everything," he said. "Don't leave anything out." For the next half hour, Sunita spoke. She told him about her alcoholic husband who had died 5 years ago, about her 2 daughters, one in school, the other working part-time to help out. She told him about the struggles of paying rent, about choosing between gas cylinders or medicines, about how she often skipped meals so her girls could eat. Rajveer listened silently. When she was done, he didn't say a word, simply picked up his phone and made a call. That evening, two things happened. First, Sunita was moved permanently into a 2-bedroom apartment in the same building where Rajveer lived. He paid the rent in full and handed her the keys. Second, he called his HR team and offered Sunita a full-time administrative job in his company's housekeeping division with training, uniform, and full benefits. She couldn't believe it. "I don't know anything about office work," she whispered. "You'll learn," he said. Over the next few weeks, Sunita transformed. She took computer classes, attended workshops, and worked under a senior supervisor who trained her patiently. She was clumsy at first, but determined. Every morning, she wore her new uniform proudly and walked into the building with her ID badge around her neck. People in the office began to notice her. They admired her dedication, her humility, and her story began to spread quietly among staff. Soon, she became a symbol of resilience. But the story didn't stop there. A few months later, Rajveer organized a town hall meeting with his employees, a rare event. Hundreds gathered in the main auditorium. On stage, Rajveer stood behind a podium and for the first time in years spoke from the heart. "I built this company with nothing," he began. "But sometimes we forget what it means to have nothing. A few months ago, I saw one of our own staff members, someone we all ignored. Someone we passed by every day sleeping on the street. And it shook me. Not because of the tragedy, but because of her silence, her pride, her dignity." Then he called Sunita on stage. People clapped as she walked up, her hands trembling. "She didn't ask for help," Rajveer continued, "but she deserved it. Every hardworking person does. Today, she's a full-time employee, a mother, a survivor, and a reminder that success is not always about numbers. It's about impact." Tears rolled down Sunita's cheeks as the entire hall gave her a standing ovation. From that day, Rajveer's company launched a new initiative project, Unforgettable program, aimed at training and hiring support staff, maids, guards, drivers, and janitors into better-paying, dignified roles within the company. They were given classes, mentoring, and opportunities to grow. Over the next year, more than 300 people benefited from the program. Many moved into permanent housing. Some got their children into better schools. Some became team leaders.
The media
soon caught wind of the story. Headlines began to appear. Billionaire transforms Maid's life, sparks a movement across corporate India, but Rajveer never gave interviews. He never stood in the spotlight. When asked why he did it, his only reply was, "Because I saw someone I ignored for too long. I don't want to make that mistake again." Sunita, now confident and well-spoken, continued to work and grow. Her daughters were enrolled in private schools. One of them even began studying computer science, hoping to work in Rajveer's company someday. Years later, at a company anniversary celebration, Rajveer was asked who had inspired him most in his life. He smiled slightly and replied, "A woman who swept my floors without ever asking for anything."